Welcome back, everybody. Today we're here to talk about The Walking Dead and some news about The Walking Dead in general, because there was an interview recently with Norman Reedus, who plays Daryl, obviously, and he was talking about how a Daryl and Rick reunion is most likely going to happen. That's very exciting. So we're going to break down exactly what he said and talk about how the reunion could play out, some other characters that deserve to have a reunion with Rick, and how all this could play out with Rick, returning to the characters. If not, if he doesn't come back to the show, at least a reunion is needed. So we're gonna break all that down in this video today, so let's get started. So yeah, we've been talking a lot about how Rick should reunite with the characters. Specifically we've been talking a lot about Michonne, because I think Michonne is one of those characters that 100% deserve a reunion. But I want to see Rick reunite with everybody. And I really hope this show ties into the movies, or the movies ties into Rick in some way. But before we get into that, let's talk exactly what Norman Reedus said about this whole reunion thing. So this was at San Diego Comic-Con. He had an interview with IGN, and he said, when asked about a reunion between Daryl and Rick, he said, "I definitely think if that's in the cards, that should without a doubt happen." Reedus told IGN at San Diego Comic-Con, "It's such a family group, and it would be hard not to have that family be part of the story dynamic." So it's interesting how he said that, because Norman Reedus did sign a 3-year deal with AMC. And part of that deal, according to the reports, were that Norman Reedus and Melissa McBride, who plays Carol, she also signed a deal, that they could be used in any form of The Walking Dead. They can be in other like platforms, in other mediums, like other spin-offs and movies and stuff like that. According to reports, that was part of their contract. That it wasn't just it wasn't a contract for The Walking Dead, more of like a contract with AMC and The Walking Dead whole in general. So that's interesting. So that because of that contract and because of what he's saying, I'm sure they've discussed it, and he's right when he says that it should happen without a doubt, because it would just feel incomplete, with if Rick Grimes, like, I know, Andrew Lincoln most likely will not be returning to the show. They already said that he has his movie trilogy. But, since part of the contracts is that, these characters in The Walking Dead could go to other spin-offs and movies, I wouldn't be surprised if, Daryl Michonne is already leaving. She might be in the movies. But I wouldn't be surprised if they reunite in the movies. Now, I'm sure that Rick Grimes could come back for the season finale, or a series finale or something like that. I'm sure Andrew Lincoln will be down for that. But just don't expect Rick to come back to the show full time. If he is gonna come back, it most likely will be like at the very end when everybody reunites, or everybody will go reunite in the movies. But like Norman said here, I'm sure a union is inevitable. I'm sure this is gonna happen eventually, because if The Walking Dead ends and the characters don't reunite, I feel like it'll be a little incomplete. And Jeffrey Dean Morgan also talked about the reunion of the characters, and he actually added by saying this, and I quote, he said, for co-star Jeffrey Dean Morgan, who plays Rick's old arch enemy Negan, this is what he said: "I hope that the film, whatever film that is, will tie into what we've already built with the TV show, and at least a character or two that is on the show, because this world is so big and vast. But it's still a family," Morgan added, and let's keep it that way. So it's tough to know if they're talking as fans or just talking like with a little bit of insight. I mean, obviously they're always going to have a little bit of insight, because they can always know, they're always in meetings and stuff like that, I'm sure. But the reason I say that is because they're pretty much saying exactly what fans have been asking for. So I really hope it does come true. I know a lot of fans, including myself, we want a reunion between the characters and Rick, especially with the children, Rick's kids. And Kaylee Fleming, who plays Judith, she actually talked about this as well, and said it would be really cool to see her on-screen dad, and to seeing Rick would be a big surprise. And she really hopes that she does reunite with Rick as well. We got RJ as well. Like, imagine Rick's reaction to seeing RJ, how awesome that would be. And they were talking about it was episode 3 or 4 of season 9, just a few episodes before Rick's final episode. They were talking about having a kid. Michonne and Rick were. So imagine that reunion. Imagine finding out that Rick has a son. All these stuff, hopefully, and I'm sure they are taking it into consideration. These are the type of stuff that I feel like would complete this Walking Dead story, at least like the original story that started, back in 2010. And I would love to see a reunion between Daryl and Rick. After Michonne and Rick, that would be my second, like I would want that. Like that's what I want the second most after Michonne and Rick. I think especially since Daryl was helping Michonne look for Rick, and he wasn't giving up, and he knows in the back of his head that like he's obviously occupied and very busy with the whispers, but I feel like he has a feeling in the back of his head that Rick is alive, because he said, remember, that he couldn't find a body. There was no body or anything like that. So Daryl, he never really gives up, and I don't think he is gonna give up, and I think he has a feeling that Rick is alive. So that's also another reason why I want to see these two characters reunite, and obviously their brother is that also. But I mean, this gets me excited, like just thinking about the reactions between the characters. But I'm just curious as to when it's gonna happen, because like, is it gonna happen in the final movie? Is it gonna happen in the final season of the show? It's really kind of confusing, because like we hear this trilogy is happening, and then we hear like AMC saying they got like plans for 20 years of The Walking Dead. So it is a little bit hard. In my theory, and this is kind of like more than a theory, kind of like what I hope. So I don't even know if you would consider it a theory. More of like what I would hope to happen is that The Walking Dead ends around maybe season 12 or 13ish, or just like The Walking Dead ends aligning, like what Jeffrey D. Morgan said here, how it kind of aligns with the TV show. So whatever the final season of The Walking Dead is, hopefully that aligns with the final Rick Grimes movie. So that's when the characters could reunite, because and if you guys read the final issue of The Walking Dead comic, like that could be a movie if you think about it. Like, let's say The Walking Dead TV show ends, and then that final Rick Grimes movie, or maybe it's gonna be like its own separate movie. Rick Grimes has a trilogy dealing with the CRM, and there's gonna be one final movie, whatever. But that final movie, I think, is a good idea to reunite everybody and bring that comic to life, because I personally really did like that comic. You guys let me know, like, what do you think about that? Like, how do you want to see it play out? Like, I'm really interested to see like what other fans of The Walking Dead want to, like, how do you guys think it'll play out? What do you want to see? If you read the final issue of The Walking Dead comics, like, would you like to see that being adapted into the TV show or into the movie or into a movie? Because that was a big issue. That was like a longer issue than usual, and I'm sure that like they could play that into a movie. It would work. I don't want to get too much into the comics, but just seeing how that ended, how Robert Kirkman ended the comic, like I could definitely see the show ending in the same way. I also really, really want to see a Rick and Negan reunion, because like I'm so invested in their relationship, because they gave us 2 full seasons of Negan, like All Out War, Whisper War, March to War. Just so much Negan. Season 7 and 8, Rick and Negan, like the moments Rick and Negan were confronting each other was the best moments of the show during those 2 seasons. And they really built in that relationship on the show, and I want to see them at least reunite sometime in the future. I would love to see Rick, find out that Negan helped them, like he saved Judith. If he helps them more in season 10, I want to see like Rick find out about that. But those are the characters that I really want to see a reunion with, like Michonne, Daryl, Negan, RJ, and Judith. Obviously, like Maggie as well, and I just want to like that. Those are like the main characters I would love to see a reunion with. But if Rick just comes back, or all the characters go, just seeing all his friends would be awesome. The Michonne reunion most likely will happen, because I've made videos talking about it in the past. As we know, Denai Guerrero is leaving. Scott Gimple is teasing, saying that, we're not done with Denai Guerrero yet, even after she announced her exit. And I think it only makes sense for there to be a reunion. Just killing off Michonne, I feel like would be just wouldn't really make sense for the story. But that being said, RJ as well, probably. If Michonne leaves, she probably is going to take RJ. I don't know about Judith, maybe. The only reason I'm a little skeptical on Judith is because they just recently recasted her with a good actress who seems to want to be on the show, so I don't know if they're going to send her off as well. But RJ I could see going. With everybody else, though, that reunion with Michonne most likely will happen in the second movie, because I don't know if they're going to film, like, I'm sure they're going to start filming the first movie very shortly. Or not even that, just the first movie is gonna be him going to the CRM, and it's gonna pick up where episode 5 left off. So obviously Michonne isn't gonna be there, but definitely by the second movie, I think I can see that reunion between Rick and Michonne happening. And in the third movie could be the other characters coming to look for Rick, or maybe Rick and Michonne going back to Alexandria, or maybe the third movie could be its own separate thing, and then there could be one final Walking Dead movie. But regardless, it does look like a reunion is gonna happen, and it's awesome how Norman Reedus and Jeffrey Morgan are down for it. So I don't think it'll be too difficult to make it happen. So hopefully it does happen. Let me know in the comments down below, how do you want to see it? I'm interested to see, like, do you think they're gonna go to the movies? Do you think Rick is gonna come back? How do you see this reunion playing out? Let me know in the comments down below. I am gonna wrap it up there for this video. Hopefully you guys did enjoy. If you did, be sure to leave a like rating. Again, if you want more Walking Dead videos just like this, hit that subscribe button. Tomorrow, actually, I believe we're getting a first look at the new spin-off, so that's very exciting. So stay tuned for that. And again, thank you guys for watching this video. I do appreciate it, and I'll see you guys later.